Have you ever used the women's restroom?
Not that I can recall ever, sir. No.
You wanted everybody else to do it, but you didn't. You
Issue has
tweeted
nothing
that
to do
as
with
a
immigration.
protest against President Trump, everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today. You're
hearing.
advocating for men to use women's restrooms, but you didn't do it?
I do not advocate that, no.
Well, actually, you did. You said everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today. Do you regret encouraging men to use women's restrooms?
Again, you're taking us on topics that have
Did you ever
nothing to
consider
do
that
with
women don't
the
want you
subject
in their,
that you
in their
invited us here
bathrooms?
for? So you're admitting that this is just a political circus?
No,
Is that what you're
I'm
doing?
asking you
This
because
is
you put
nothing
this
to do
on,
with
on the
immigration
internet for everybody
and
to
really
see.
about you grandstanding.
I'm asking you, have you ever considered that women don't want you in their bathrooms? that's a private space that they don't want you or any other man in.
Congressman, let's talk about
you can't say that
failure to
normal
vote
people can
for
say that
Medicaid.
they
In
don't,
fact, you want to
that
take
they don't
Medicaid
think
away.
Men should be in
and
women's
SNAP.
restrooms.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Gill from Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor Pritzker, do you know how much illegal immigration costs your state each year?
No, sir, I do not.
Costs over $780 per family per year. That's a lot of money, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And may I ask, what do you mean by the cost?
That is a lot of money.
The
for
cost
the
of
cost
illegal
your state.
immigration.
Let me ask you, do you know who Franklin Jose Pena Ramos is?
Are you talking about the federal government's
I'm
cost to
asking
the
you if you
state
know
of
who
Illinois as a
Franklin
result of
Jose
the
Pena
failed
Ramos is.
immigration policy?
It's a yes or no question. I'll take that as a no. Do you know who Jose Martinez Rangel is?
No, sir, I do not.
You don't. You should. Those are two men who came into this country illegally, raped and murdered 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungary in my home state of Texas. Do you think that elected officials should have welcomed them into our communities?
Sir,
Yes or no question.
before they committed a crime, I'm not sure what you're asking.
Do you think that they should have been welcomed into our communities? This is a very straightforward question.
Someone who commits murder, no. Someone who commits murder should be
Why
apprehended.
did you state during Biden's border crisis that illegal aliens, quote, should have been welcomed and helped by elected officials?
When you say illegal
I'm
aliens,
asking you,
these are
should
people
these
who are
people have been
given
welcomed and
asylum.
helped into our communities?
People who are
That's an
asylum
easy
seekers.
yes or no question.
Well, you're mischaracterizing them.
It is your position that they should have been welcomed into our communities. Is that correct?
There were asylum
from
seekers
your
who were
own
here
statement.
legally.
And
There
then
were
they went
asylum
on and
seekers.
murdered and raped 12-year-old Jocelyn.
Someone who
Nungary.
commits murder should be held accountable. We do that in the state.
And
of
you think
Illinois.
they should have been welcomed into our communities before they did?
I don't know how you can tell before somebody commits a crime
You can
that they are
secure
going
the
to
border
commit the
and
crime.
not let illegal aliens come into our communities. Do you support abolishing ICE?
Asylum seekers.
Do you support abolishing ICE?
No, I believe we need an immigration force in the United States.
You
In
don't.
fact,
You believe a budget is a moral document. Is that correct?
I do.
You do. You tweeted that. Your administration gave $12,000 to the Organized Communities Against Deportations, which just this past month was marching in the streets of Chicago with signs saying abolish ICE. Do you support this?
I do not.
Is this a
support
reflection of
abolishing
your
an
moral
immigration
values?
force.
Is this a reflection of your moral values?
I do not support abolishing an immigration force.
That's good to hear. Mr. Governor, do you think that biological men should be able to use women's restrooms?
I'm not sure how this has to do with immigration.
It's
sir.
just a yes or no question.
Why are you
It's very easy to
politicizing
answer.
this?
Do you
I
think
thought
that
we were
men
here
should be using
doing
women's
fact
restrooms?
finding. I'm sorry?
Do you think men should be allowed in women's restrooms?
I'm not sure why this has come to this issue.
You
It has
tweeted
nothing
that
to do
as
with
a
immigration.
protest against President Trump, everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today. Have you ever used the women's restroom?
Not that I can recall ever, sir. No.
You wanted everybody else to do it, but you didn't?
Sir, I'm not sure
that-
why we're on a topic that has
I'm
nothing to
asking
do
you,
with
you're
today's hearing.
advocating for men to use women's restrooms, but you didn't do it?
I do not advocate that, no.
Well, actually, you did. You said everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today.
I can tell you that you are
Do you regret
politicizing
saying
this
this?
in a way that what we ought to be focusing on is
Do you
the
regret
failure of the federal
encouraging men to
government
use women's restrooms?
and the Congress to deal with immigration reform.
Do you regret encouraging men to use women's restrooms?
Again, you're taking us on topics that have
Did you ever
nothing to
consider
do
that
with
women don't
the
want you
subject
in their,
that you
in their
invited us here
bathrooms?
for. So you're admitting that this is just a political circus?
No,
Is
I'm
that what you're doing?
asking you
This
because
has
you put
nothing
this
to do
on
with
the
immigration
internet for everybody
and
to
really
see.
about you grandstanding.
I'm asking you, have you ever considered that women don't want you in their bathrooms? That's a private space that they don't want you or any other man in.
Congressman, let's talk
You
about
can't-
your
you can't say that
failure to
normal
vote
people can
for
say that
Medicaid.
they
In
don't-
fact, you want to
that
take
they don't
Medicaid
think
away.
men should be in
and
women's
SNAP
restrooms.
And
That's a
veteran
very
services.
straightforward question.
You apparently want people
And you're
to
encouraging
die
men to
in the
use
United
women's
States
restrooms
because you
where there
want to
could be
take healthcare
underage
away.
girls. Do you think that's appropriate?
Sir, if we're going to
you think that's
politicize
normal?
this, let's talk about what you're doing to people in
you
this
think that
country
that's normal?
by virtue of your votes.
All right, let's move on.
with
Let's
President
ask,
Trump.
do you support Hamas's agenda?
Sir, I do not. They are a terrorist organization.
Your administration gave a grant to the Muslim Civic Coalition, which just 2 weeks after October 7th was marching in the streets of Chicago to, quote, stop the U.S.-backed genocide against Gaza. Is that a reflection of your values?
I have spent my life fighting anti-Semitism.
No, I'm asking, is this a reflection of your values?
I'm not sure why you're attacking
Because
me
your
about something in an
administration
organization.
gave money to this organization.
I'm explaining to you that what we do in the state of Illinois is stand up for what we believe are
You didn't
our
have to
rights
give
and
money to
freedoms.
the Muslim Civic Coalition
People
to
have
march
the
and
right
call,
to express themselves.
to
That-
stop the
we don't-
U.S.-backed genocide against Gaza. That was your choice.
I know
that was your
Republicans want to
administration.
take away people's right to free speech. We don't in the state of Illinois, and I
They've
do
got
not
the
believe
right to
that
free
is
speech.
proper.
They don't have the right to tax dollars, and you gave them to them.
You want to take those rights away from people. I understand.
Gentlemen, time's expired.
Mr. Chairman, I've got two unanimous consent requests that I hope would not count against my time.
Okay, we won't.
Okay.
Clock stop.
I ask unanimous consent to submit for the record an article from Forbes magazine entitled "Trump Team Focuses Deportations on Immigration Numbers, Not on Criminals,"
Without objection, so ordered.
and an article from the Rolling Stone from the 6th of last month entitled "Trump has now deported multiple U.S. citizen children with cancer."
Without objection, so ordered. That's a good diversity of sources, the
It is. Rolling
Forbes
Stone
and Rolling
Forbes,
Stone.
yes.
I like that. All right, proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. A couple of things on the record and then some observations. I don't know that I necessarily have any questions, but I do have some observations and a statement. I think before we let this get out of control, everybody on this side of the aisle is against violence of all forms. Everybody on this side of the aisle finds that to be unacceptable. We believe that convicted criminals who are incidentally illegally here and have been convicted should have no safe harbor. And we believe that victims of criminals should have our collective prayers and empathy. So this is not about Democrats not having a balance or about Democrats supporting something that is not right. The other thing that I want to say is that I find something eerily chilling about what's going on here. And what's chilling about it is that if I take myself out of 2025 and roll myself back in time, some of the hatred that I see displayed under the guise of good government just scares the hell out of me. We're not that far away from situations that existed where things like this affected other groups. And I'm not talking about anybody that's a convicted illegal criminal. I'm talking about innocent Americans who live in our neighborhoods, who do the work that we won't do, who abide by the laws, who play by the rules, who love their new country and who cherish their faith. Because if we just roll this clock on the wall back 75 years, we'd be looking at a time in Nazi Germany where people ran around with signs like this new ICE sign that says, "Report all foreign invaders to ICE," with Uncle Sam there holding up the sign. This could have been a Gestapo member 75 years ago, "Report all Jews." 100 years before that, it could be a plantation owner that said, "Report all Negroes and all coloreds and all those who are from Africa," because they are disrupting our country. So let's not get it twisted here. We in this country are not pure and pristine. We had runaway slave laws to kick the people who ran away from slavery. We had 50 years of black codes where you got fines and you got rewards and you got all sorts of things if you did or did not do something to report black people. After 150 years of slavery and 100 years of segregation and 100 years of Jim Crow after that? You could be arrested for anything in this country not that long ago. I remember when the National Guard was deployed in 1968, and I walked out of my house facing fixed bayonets with men in uniform, not knowing what the hell they were there for, but obeying the chief executive officer of this country. And I know what it's like to face a bayonet and to face a National Guardsman. And I've seen the tension that it brought about and how that group of demonstrations across this country continue to go for days and days and days. And so don't give me something about, there's something about these people because they're immigrants. No, there's something about them because they're people, and like all groups, they've got bad people in them. I could have been arrested 75 years ago for walking into a restaurant, for drinking out of a water fountain, for being accused of looking at a white woman like Emmett Till did in 1955, and he was burned and lynched in this country. When future generations peer through the telescope of time, I hope that they look at us and realize that there are some who chose not to shirk their responsibility, not to run away from the reality and to face it head on. You know, not too long ago, I went to visit a proud lady who this year will celebrate her 149th anniversary. And she stands today, even as we sit in this hour. In her left hand is a great torch. And in her right hand, guess what? She clings the Declaration of Independence close to her breast. And on her head is a crown of spikes. And on her feet, broken shackles, symbolizing freedom from tyranny, the tyranny that so many immigrants faced before coming to this country. And as that plane flew over, I could still hear her cry out through silent, concrete lips, saying, "Send me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses who yearn to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore," she says. "Send those, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. For I left my lamp beside the golden door, that all of you and all of you and all of you might follow." And so we came. Some took the circuitous route, some came for a thrill, and some of us came against our will. But we came and became what we are today as a nation. And we must never lose sight of the things that make us great or the things that take away from our greatness. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.